What will happen if something that has marked its own path for the past years was wrapped up in a self-awake? What if all your used to suddenly vanished apart? Would you be the same? We live under constant change. We change our ideologies, customs, and behaviors on and on. Think about it. Since the first day an organism stepped on the Earth planet, everything has evolved. We're here to give you an idea of what has happened for the recent past years, but let us warn you. As you may know, there is always two sides of the story. Your eyes will witness the wound and the pain the world has suffered, but they will also witness progress, aid, and most of all, faith in humanity. Let's get on to one of the most intense flashbacks you will ever experience in a lifetime. It's time to travel back to the 20th century. Are you ready?
In a strict way, the 20th century started in the year 1901. However, we will start in Europe in the year 1914 with the assassination of the Archduke Franz Ferdinand, the unexpected successor to the throne of Austria. The one who ignited the tensions created by Austria after annexing Bosnia-Herzegovina to its territory, marking the beginning of World War I. People die, emperors disappear, but this terrifying event ended up with the signing of the Treaty of Versailles, which consisted on Germany giving an end to the war and paying all damages. Of course, Germany was not the only one affected. Russia, for example, the country at the hands of Nicholas II, the last star of the Russian that has led revolutionary movements in the famous Revolution of 19, was doing two battles at a time, one inside the country, revolutionary movements, and another one outside, World War I, giving birth to the Revolution of 1917, in which Lenin, one of the Marxist leaders in Russia, who was part of the Russian Social Democratic Labour Party, ended the Tsar regime and took control of the government, leaving World War I for a great cost.
Of course, we are not forgetting about the countries in the rest of the world, such as ones in America. Remember that countries like Mexico were living tough moments? The Mexican Revolution was one of them, and it began in 1910. A political, economical, and social movement led by Francisco Madero, Mexico's president, that started with the desire of peasants and workers to get their lands and rights back. This led to Aguascalientes Convention, taking place in 1914. This convention was called by Venustiano Carranza, the most important leader at the end of this revolution, in order to reconcile the differences between Zapata, Villa, Carranza himself, and Obregón. Finally, many will end this event with the signature of the Constitution of 1917. And what about US? Well, the truth is that this country entered World War I, and even though it was almost at the end of it, made a difference. We cannot forget that US had been making an effort to avoid European issues, as it showed after the war with the Great Depression in 1929, in which Franklin D. Roosevelt, the president that took US in his shoulders during this event, promoted an economical policy New Deal, that searched for the good of the Americans.
Now our journey will move towards the Asian continent. Before World War I took place in Europe, countries as China were living their own problems. The local revolution in China was a successful movement that finally ended with the dynasty's reign. But then a new head of state was established, so Sun Yat-sen became the first president of the country. After a decade of this event, the Communist Party was founded, and when the invasion from Japan to occupy Manchuria occurred, Mao Zedong, a pro-communism guy, easily defeated Sun Yat-sen's pupil Jiang Jieshi, who was against communism, and became the leader of the country. To show the support that people offer him, he made a historical event that was called the Long March.
Now let's go back to Europe. Do you remember that World War I ended with the Treaty of Versailles? Well, this treaty gave birth to the World War II with the help of totalitarian leaders like Francisco Franco, a dictator of Spain that led at the beginning of the Spanish Civil War in 1936 until 1939 when it arrived to an end, and Adolf Hitler, the main leader of the Nazi Party. This resulted with the beginning of another international movement that ended with US support after the attack performed by the Japanese in Pearl Harbor in 1941. But was that all? The truth is that after World War II another conflict began, the Cold War. This period of tension characterized by the rivalry between communism and capitalism, with acts like the construction of the Berlin Wall in 1961, a representation of the brutality of communism, or the Berlin Airlift, an example of liberty of capitalism, in which we were able to see cruel leaders like Fidel Castro, the dictator of Cuba that supported USSR, or Joseph Stalin, the last totalitarian leader that represented communism himself, but also inspirational ones like young American president that survived the Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962, but not a bullet during his assassination in the year of 1963. However, we cannot forget the good things that happened in the world. Presidents like Lázaro Cárdenas in Mexico were given back their country its autonomy by the events like the oil expropriation of 1938 and in 1945.
Created using Powtoon.